President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and the floor is given to the International Deputy Court Prosecutor to resume his line of questioning. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning again, witness. I'd like to move to a different topic, and the topic is the Cham population in Pim Chikan commune and the Angkor Ban commune. So the first question is, when the Khmer Rouge took control of your area, your commune, were there Cham living in Pim Chikang and Angkor Ban communes?
Answer. Yes, there were Cham people there in Piem Chikong commune.
In that commune, I know there's a number of villages, but can you give a general estimate of how many Cham families lived in the commune when the Khmer Rouge came to your area? Just an estimate.
Answer. I do not know how many of them living in that commune.
Okay. Say maybe in your village, Sambu Mir Village A. In the village that you lived, in your statement you said that there were Cham that were brought into your village to live. Is that correct? During the Khmer Rouge period?
Answer. Yes, that is correct. During the Khmer Rouge period, Cham families were brought into the village.
And where did those Cham families come from?
Answer. I do not know where they were from.
And why were they brought to your village?
Answer. I do not know why they were brought to my village.
Were other people brought to your village after the Khmer Rouge took control of Cambodia, of Phnom Penh in 1975? Were other people brought there, as well as the Cham?
Answer. There were people from Phnom Penh who were also brought in to that village.
And about how many Cham people were brought into the village? How many families, how many individuals? If you can give us an idea in your village, how many came to it?
Answer. I do not know, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, about the number of families who had been brought in.
And Mr. Witness, thank you for the answer. We certainly don't want you to guess any answers. Only tell us what you know. Thank you. Now, when those Cham were brought into your village, during the Democratic Kampuchea period, what happened to them?
Answer. During the Democratic Cambodia, Cham people did not create any activities. They were living normally as Khmer people were.
Did the Cham people in your village stay there, or were they taken away?
Witness, could you repeat your question once again? I could not get it.
Did the Cham people that were brought to your village during the Democratic Kampuchea period, did they stay there throughout, and were they there still in 1979, 1980? Or did they leave, or were they taken away during that period?
Answer. During that period, Cham people who had been living in the village, regarding them, I do not know. I was living in Koh Toj. I would return to my village once in every 3 months or 2 months. Once in a while, I would return home. I do not know where they were taken to.
So are you saying that they were taken away during the Democratic Kampuchea period? I understand you're saying you don't know where they were taken to, but are you saying that they were taken away from your village during that period?
Answer. I do not know about that. I was living and working in the rice field in Koh Toj. I would return home once in every 2 or 3 months. I do not know where they were evacuated, where they were sent to.
In 1979, when the Khmer Rouge were defeated, those Cham were no longer in your village. Is that what you're saying?
Answer. Yes, that is true. It is my statement.
If I can just refresh your memory with what you told the investigators a few years ago in relation to this topic, the Cham in your village. And I refer to E3/5257, English 0025 1019, Khmer 0024 3106, and French 0034 2671. You were asked this question by the investigator, and this is what he's recorded you as saying. So, did they arrest the Cham people and the group they had evacuated from Phnom Penh. And you said they arrested that group on site. The old people like me were not arrested, and the new people were the same. Only the Cham people were arrested. Does that refresh your memory as to what you told the investigator a few years ago?
Answer. I never said about the arrest of Cham people. I do not know about that. I never stayed and lived in my village. I was assigned to work in the field and plough the field, and I have no idea about the arrest of Cham people.
You testified earlier that you lived in the Angkor Ban commune until 1972, and then you moved to Sambos Mir Village A, and you'd been living in that village from 1972 till now. And then you also said that you moved to PM Chikang for a while. In your statement you say for about 1 year. And you also said that when you were in PM Chikang, you would eat at the dining hall in Sambos Mir Village A. So your evidence is that you've testified that you were living in Sambos Mir's village. So is that correct? That's where you were living for most of the time during the Democratic Kampuchea period. That was your evidence.
Answer. During the evacuation time, I may have confused. After the end of the regime in 1979, I was told that Pol Pot would come back to control the country. For this reason, I, together with my family, went to live in PM Chikong district. During the interview, perhaps I had just got recovered from my illness. I did not stay in PM Chikong. I was assigned to leave and evacuated from the pagoda. I was staying around 7 kilometers away from the pagoda.
Okay, I won't discuss with you about that because the information you've given is in your statement. But what I would like to talk about is the arrest of Cham in other parts of Phim Chikan commune. Not the arrest of the Cham in the village we just talked about, but the arrest of Chams in other areas. Did you see Cham people being arrested when you were out working? During that period?
Answer. I never witnessed it because, as I said, I was working and living on another side of the river. I did not know about the arrest and I did not see it.
In your statement, you talk about the job of peddling water. Well, I think one of your job was to peddle water. Can you tell the court what peddling water, what that activity is, please?
Answer. Regarding the water wheel, I had to paddle the water wheel in order to bring the water into the rice field.
When you were doing that, did some Cham people help you do that, or do that at the same time that you were doing it?
Answer. No Cham people were working in that field.
Thank you. Perhaps if I can put a statement that you made to the investigators a few years ago, and the one that you read before you came into court, about what you said about this topic, and I'd like you to comment on that, please. Your Honours, it's the same statement, E3/5257 at English 0025 1019 to 20, and at Khmer 0024 3106, and French 0034 2671. And this is what you told the investigator that you said was basically true this morning. Sometimes when the Cham went to peddle water, security followed them and arrested them there. Question: what year did they arrest the Cham? It was probably in 1976, because the security office inside that pagoda was created in 1976. In 1975, there were still solidarity teams. And then you were questioned, do you know why they arrested the Cham? And you said, I don't know. You said no one dared to ask about the arrests. Then the question was put, did the arrests of the Cham happen just one time or many consecutive times? And you answered, they arrested the Cham successively. Sometimes they followed and arrested the Cham at the ploughing sites. How did you know, this is a question, how did you know the Khmer Rouge, how did the Khmer Rouge know they were Cham? And you said, they had them speak first. For instance, they had me raise my hand and speak, so they were able to know who was Cham and who was not. So my question is, that's what you've told the investigator. Is that true?
Answer. I don't think it is completely correct. While I was ploughing the fields, Cham people were arrested. At that time, they thought I was a Cham person, and they pointed the weapons to my neck, and at that time they realized that I was Khmer and they left. They went away. It was not during the time that I was working in the field. It was at a work site.
So you did see the arrest of Cham, is that correct?
Answer, yes. I saw a few Cham, 2 or 3, were arrested at the time.
In your statement, you say that they arrested the Cham successively. Did they arrest a lot of Cham over a period of time that you saw?
Answer, I saw 2 or 3 Cham people were arrested at that time. I was scary at the time and I did not dare to look at the people who came to arrest Cham.
And what did they do with the Cham that they arrested?
Answer, these Cham people were taken to plough the field.
Once those Cham were arrested, did you see them again?
I saw whom? Sorry, Mr. Co-Prosecutor.
Once those Cham that were arrested in the fields, did you ever see them again?
Answer, yes, I saw them back.
And have you seen them? Are they alive today? Do you know?
Answer, I do not know because they had been arrested.
Thank you. Earlier, you were asked a question about whether or not you saw people being arrested from a boat, and you said that you hadn't seen anyone arrested or any prisoners on a boat. I'd like to put to you what you said in your statement, and this is E3/5257 at English 0025 1016, at Khmer 0024 3102 to 03, and French 0034 to 667. This is what you said to the investigator. I saw them arrest more prisoners and take them off boats. Question, did you see arrests often? Sometimes I saw them, sometimes I did not see them. How many times did you see them being taken off boats? And you said once. How did you know they were prisoners? And you said they talked about it in the dining hall. Question, did those people have their arms tied? Answer, yes, they were tied. Question, how were they tied? Answer, their arms were tied behind them. Question, were there men, women or children? And answer, there were men, women and children. And then question, were there any small children? And answer, yes, there were small children. All the people saw this because there were hundreds of them at mealtime. Does that refresh your memory now that you did in fact see people being arrested off the boat?
សាកថៃមកតឆ្លើយតប
President, please wait, Mr. Witness. You may not proceed. Counsel Copper.
I would appreciate it, Mr. President, if the prosecution would also read the next sentence of that statement. I'd be happy to do it for him. When you saw those prisoners, were there any charm? Answer, I don't know.
Thank you, Counsel. This event wasn't put forward to discuss whether or not the Chams were arrested. It was in relation to people being taken to Wat Otracon Security Centre. So, witness, do you now remember that you saw people taken off a boat, or do you not know?
Answer, I do not know if they were taken off board.
Mr. Witness, now I'd like to ask you some questions about your role as militia during the Democratic Kampuchea period. Did you work as a militia in the Long Sword group during that period?
Answer, I was not a militiaman. Back then, I was assigned to plough the field at Songkai or Padau. And at that time, the militiaman went to call me to be a soldier. So I followed the militiaman, and they pointed the gun at me. My wife and my child were crying because they thought I would die, and I was allowed to spend a night when I arrived, and I was asked the day after how many siblings I had. I told them that I had 5 siblings, and they asked me about my relative cousins and uncles and aunts. I told them that I had about 20 relatives, aunt and uncle and cousin. After hearing this, they closed the book, and I was assigned to harvest rice.
Thank you. Were you part of the sub-district militia, or were you part of a group called the Long Sword Militia? Were you in either one of those militia groups?
No, I was in neither. Actually, I was tasked to harvest the rice.
Thank you. Do you know, have you ever heard of a group of militia back in the Democratic Kampuchea operating in your commune called the Long Sword Group?
Yes, I heard the people talking about it. However, I did not know about the activities that the group involved in.
And you're sure about that? You were never in the Long Sword group? Is that right?
Yes, that is the truth.
And is it also the truth that you have no knowledge of what the Long Sword militia group did?
Please repeat your question.
Is your evidence that you didn't know what the Long Sword group did as militia in your area in Democratic Kampuchea?
That is correct. I did not know what they did during the regime.
You were also asked about this topic by the investigator from the ECC when you spoke to him a few years ago, and some answers on this topic are recorded in your statement. And I'd like to read those answers back to you and ask you to comment about it. Your Honours, it's E3/5257 at English 0025 1018, Khmer 0024 3104 to 05, and French 0034 2669. And this is the question that was asked to you, Mr. Witness. Do you remember the Long Sword militia? Answer, yes. There was one. Question, were you in the Long Sword team? Answer, yes, I was in that team, but they divided the Long Sword team into many teams which were responsible for various works. Who arrested the people? The answer, the security unit. Were those security personnel in the militia? Answer, they called that group security soldiers. Question, did the Long Sword group have the job of arresting people? Answer, at that time, the Long Sword group was divided into teams. Some teams ploughed the field and some teams did secret work. Mr. Witness, is that the truth? What I just read out to you, that you did know about the Long Sword militia and you were in the Long Sword militia?
Yes, the Long Sword group was subdivided into smaller groups. As for me, because of my not so good background, I was tasked to guard the rice barn, and I was there briefly. Later on, I was reassigned.
So now you're saying that you were in the Long Sword militia group. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. However, I did not involve in any activity of the group that was tasked to guard the rice band. Although the other sub-teams were based not far from where I guarded the rice band, and I was not given any longsword to carry.
And witness, just a few more questions because time is short. You also said in that statement at E35257, English 0025 1081 to 19, Khmer 0024 3105, and French 0034 2670. You said, in answer to this question, who was your direct superior in the militia? And you said Duan. Is that correct? Was Duan your direct superior in the longsword militia?
I only heard of Dun, but I did not know what he looked like.
But was he your superior?
No, he's not. It was a different one, and actually I was by myself at the rice barn. As for Tadun, I only heard of his name, and he was at a different location.
I just have two last questions. I want to put these two statements to you, and I'd like you to respond. A witness, Seng Srun, has testified in this court and has given a statement E3/5252, English 0023 5517, Khmer 0023 5021, and French 0026 9891. Seng Srun was asked this question: could you tell me who at the time was the chief of the long sword? He answered, the chief named Che, and his deputy was Tai Kim Hun. And Tai Kim Hun, he states, was the chief of the committee at the Otrakon Pagoda. What type of persons were Che and Kim Hun? From 1975 to 1979, they were the leaders of the longsword militias. What's your comment in relation to that statement?
I did not meet with Srun, and Srun was a soldier, and since then I did not have any contact with him. Whatever he said is not correct. I did not do that. I was not even a member of the militia, but on the contrary, Srun was a soldier. And of course I am not. He is a superior.
And one last statement I'd like to put. This again has been said by Seng Srun in one of his statements, and that's at E35302, English 0021 0488, Khmer 00635176 and French 00623191 to 92. And Seng Srun answers this question in relation to the gathering up of Cham people.
President, please hold on, Mr. Prosecutor. And Counsel Kong Som-on, you have the floor. Kong Som-on. I do not get the EIN number of that document in the Khmer language. President, Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please provide the document and the EIN of the Khmer document.
Sorry, 00635176. And Seng Srun is answering a question in relation to the gathering up of Cham people. The person who told me to gather the Cham was Hun, who was my unit chief. He was a local and still lives in this area in Sambo Mias Ka. Hun ordered me to gather the Cham and take them to the Wat. I didn't know what their plan was, but I was told that Cham people were a different race and had to be smashed, and that if we kept them, they will rebel against us sometime. The person who told me this was the commune security chief, whose name was Tai Kim Hon. He is still alive and lives in my village.
President, the Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please hold on, and the Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan, you have the floor.
Oui, j'interviens.
Yes, I would like to object to the manner in which the document is being presented. I do not deny the fact that it is a factual document, but Seng Srun did come back on his statement when he testified, and we have a more recent testimony, and in all fairness, to confront this witness with the testimony of another witness, you need to present both documents, both statements. What Seng Srun said is different. What he said in his statement is different from what he said during his testimony.
Yes, Mr. President, I mean, what was put was one particular statement. I will tell the witness that at a later time, in another statement, he said that you did not tell him the reason why Cham were being arrested. So he's taken that statement away at a later point in time. But what I'd like to, and that's what he testified to, that he can't remember saying that. But my question is, in relation to that statement, that first statement that he gave about you telling him that the Cham people were a different race and needed to be smashed, did you say that or not to Seng Srun?
No, I did not say it.
Thank you. And my last question. Mr. Witness, isn't it true that the Long Sword Militia and PM Chikang commune was responsible for the arrests of Cham and other people, other new people or other people that were detained at Wat O Trakon Pagoda? Wasn't it the Long Sword Militia that had the responsibility and in fact made those arrests in your commune in Democratic Kampuchea?
I have already testified that I did not live in the village. For that reason, I was not aware of that event. I did not know about the arrest of the Cham people or the new people. I spent my time in the plantation, growing vegetables or other plants, and I stayed there and I slept there, and I did not enter the village.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Mr. President, I took an extra 5 or 6 minutes, or 10 minutes in fact, over what was agreed to with the civil parties. So I would ask perhaps that if the civil parties could have an extra 5 minutes or 10 minutes to present their submissions, their questions. Thank you.
President, the lead co-lawyer, so you may proceed. Thank you, Mr. President. Marisa Kang is the assigned counsel to put question to this witness. Thank you.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, the prosecution, defense counsel, the civil parties, and the public. Good morning, witness. My name is Martin Jacquin, civil party lawyer, and I'll thank you in advance for answering my questions. First question. You stated and confirmed a while ago that you lived very close to the pagoda, and when you said so in your interview a few years ago, you explained that you lived below the house in a sector which was not a public sector because you were a member of the security office. Is that correct?
President, witness, please hold on, and counsel for Kirsten, you have the floor.
This is not an objection, Mr. President. I just wish to ask for a reference to the interview counsel is referring to. It is E3/5257 ERNKH 0034 2102, the ARN in English 0024 10 15 and 0025 10 16 in French, and 0034 26 and 65.
President Judge Laverne, you have the floor.
Oui,
Yes, I have indeed noted the references. I am not sure, Mrs. Jacquin, of the location you are referring to. You have to specify that. I have the impression that when the witness was interviewed in E3/5257, he referred to PM Chikong and not where he was, close to the pagoda. Mr. President, I would like the witness to clarify that particular situation.
Counsel, please make sure you speak a bit far from the microphone, maybe 20 centimeters. And please provide the correct EN number in the Khmer language. It is not clear and incorrect. And please make sure that you are well prepared when you proceed with your questioning. Otherwise, the additional time that you requested is not worthwhile.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. The witness confirmed a while ago that he lived at a point in time close to the pagoda. In his prior statement, whose reference I gave a while ago, he stated that he was authorized to live in that sector because it was indeed the sector called Piem Chikong because he was a member of the security service. I would like him to clarify both situations.
The fact that I was asked to leave my home because that was used for the security force and civilians were prohibited from entering the area. The area was guarded by soldiers. Anyone who breached the ban would be shot dead.
Monsieur le Président,
លោកលោកស្រីមេធាវីមិនបាច់ឲ្យឆ្ងាយ
President, Council for Civil Parties, you have been reminded to speak at a 20 meters distance from the microphone, and the national lead co-lawyer, the Cambodian one, Mr. Pech Ong, please remind your counsel when he speaks too close to the microphone, the echo is too strong for the interpreter to provide a proper interpretation.
Monsieur le témoin, vous avez un...
Witness, a while ago, you said that your family consisted of about 25 persons and that you had 5 brothers and sisters. Today, how many of those people are still alive?
Are you asking about my blood siblings?
Je parle de la famille.
I am talking of the family you mentioned in your biography, and you gave further information regarding your family members. Those are the persons I'm referring to.
There are several members of my relatives, close and distant relatives, who are living today and who survived the regime.
Lorsqu'il y a eu le régime...
You were aged 25 during the Democratic Kampuchea regime. You were a rice farmer. You were one of the old persons, and your situation was not very difficult given the political regime in place at the time. Is that correct?
No, that is incorrect. My life was miserable living under the regime. The only food we ate was gruel, compounded by hard manual labor.
Vous avez indiqué que lorsque on...
You stated that when they came to fetch you, your wife and child were crying. My question to you is, why were they so worried? And how many of you were called to be members of a group representing the village?
I did not know whether I was called to be part of the soldier or the team, because everybody knew that if people were called to go to Otakun Pagoda, it means their fate would be sealed there.
Vous avez déclaré
You stated in document E3/5257, ERN in Khmer 00243101, ERN in English 00251014, ERN in French 00342663. You made the following statement. How come you were able to see prisoners being accompanied while you were in PM Shekong? And you said, I lived in PM Shekong and I had to eat in that place, and that is why I was able to see or witness that event. Question, did you recognize the prisoners in question? I recognized some of them, including my cousin. Can you give us the names of those prisoners? Yes, they were Tall, my adopted brother, Lim Sran, my cousin. These two men were arrested with their families and children. Another cousin of mine was called Yu-Or. I had seen many other prisoners being arrested. These persons had alighted from the boat. These persons were not from the boat, but they are prisoners you recognized and you were able to give their names. What happened to them? Did you see them again on the day of that arrest? And in particular, did you see your cousin?
I did not know what happened to them since we were at different locations. And while I was having meal, I saw them being walked. So I stopped eating my meal and I left the dining hall.
Pouvez-vous
Can you specify where they were being taken to?
They were taken to the pagoda.
depuis
And since the moment when they were arrested, and did you see them between the time they were arrested and the end of the DK regime?
No. It is very likely that they had been killed.
So you saw a certain number of people, men and women, children, enter this pagoda. So when you were in the communal dining hall afterwards, did you sometimes hear the children shout or play?
No, I did not.
That would be
President, the assigned Council for Civil Parties, how much more time do you anticipate that you need to put questions to this witness?
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. President, 10 extra minutes, which was in fact what was scheduled.
President, yes, the chamber will grant you the 10 additional minutes. However, you may resume in the afternoon since it is now our lunch break. The chamber will take a lunch break now and resume at 1:30. Court officer, please assist the witness at the waiting room for witnesses and civil parties during the lunch break. and invite him as well as the duty counsel back into the courtroom at 1:30. Security personnel, you are instructed to take Kyo Sampon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned to attend the proceedings this afternoon before 1:30.